What if the one thing keeping you stuck is the way you think? Welcome to Change Your Mind with Chris Ashley, the podcast where science meets spirituality and mindset becomes your most powerful tool for transformation. I'm Chris Ashley, author of Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality, trainer, speaker, and lifelong seeker. For years, I battled trauma, depression, anger, chronic illness, low self-worth, and the weight of old stories. Until I discovered how to rewire my mind, reconnect with my divine nature, and consciously create a new reality from the inside out. This show is here to help you do the same. Each week, we explore the intersection of personal development, spirituality, and science, diving into topics like healing, emotional mastery, entrepreneurship, resilience, and the quantum nature of reality. You'll hear powerful stories, gain practical tools, and real conversations that will help you change your perspective, get unshakable confidence, and live the vision your soul has always known is possible. Whether you're navigating a major life shift, building your dream business, or seeking deep healing and alignment, you're in the right place. So if you're ready to break through, take back your power, and create a life on your terms, this is your moment. Let's break free from the patterns that hold us back, awaken to who we truly are, and rise. Your transformation starts now. Welcome back to the Change Your Mind podcast, where we explore personal development, spirituality, and science. I'm your host, Chris Ashley, and I am so excited for my guest today. We are going to talk about her meditation deck. We might talk about Reiki. We might talk about yoga. As you know, these conversations go all different places. And before I go any further, I just want to say, you've been listening to me for a while. You know my voice doesn't sound like this. I am recovering from the flu, so a little scratchy, a little lingering cough. If I mute, it's just to cough. But my amazing guest has been so understanding, so we'll get through it together, and it's going to be a great episode. Couple quick announcements. Head over to the links in the show notes. You're going to find so much. You'll find a link to my book, Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality. It was endorsed by 3 people from The Secret: Michael Beckwith, Bob Doyle, Marcy Shimoff. It's also endorsed by John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and Nina Morjani, who wrote Dynamite Me. You will find ways to sponsor the podcast. You will find links for my lovely guests. You will find my courses, coaching, free downloads, events, all the good stuff. And as always, this podcast is part of the Los Angeles Tribune Podcast Network. We are doing massive things in the personal development realm, so come join, check out the other podcasts in the network. They're all amazing. And let's get to it. So with me today, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Catherine. With me today, I have Catherine C. Bastedo. Did I say that right? Bastedo?
You certainly did.
Bastedo.
Exactly
Okay,
right.
good. These things I need to remember to do before. Okay. So Catherine has taught Reiki at all levels, led workshops and retreats, volunteered as a wellness coach for cancer survivors, and sat on the board of a nonprofit devoted to women's health. She practices yoga and meditation and writes online articles related to the complementary health. She enjoyed a career at a senior level with the Canadian government and then was executive director of an international nonprofit that promoted and supported Canadian studies before turning to her writing and energy work. Cool. She also has a meditation deck on Bird Vibes, which won Best Meditation Deck of the Year, and I'm excited to talk about birds with you. So welcome, Catherine. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you very much, Chris. I'm delighted to be here. I'm trying to pick up a little bit of warmth from where you are, from where I'm sitting in Quebec, and it's dark, as you can see out that window, dark and cold.
I know you right before when we were in the green screen, Catherine showed me outside. It was like picturesque. It's like this big pine tree and Christmas lights and snow, and it's so beautiful. So I always start all my episodes off the same way, and that is by asking my guest, what is their origin story? So what is it that led you on this journey to do energy work, to practice yoga, to create this meditation deck?
Well, thanks for asking, Chris. There were a number of different things that led me to where I am now. And I'd say the first one is my early childhood, because I grew up north of Lake Superior in a pretty remote community, a small town of 1,500 people on the north shore of Lake Superior, surrounded by the bush, the trees, the woods, and that developed my love of nature, my love of all aspects of nature. And where I live now in Gatineau, Quebec, I'm near the forest, near the woods, not quite the bush like in the further north, but still near the woods. So I love nature, and that was very formative for me. And a second thing is that I think I'm quite intuitive, and I always have been, but like many people, I didn't realize it at the outstart. And sometimes this is hard for people. I am what is known as a knower. So I knew things, and sometimes that's hard for other people to understand. So my intuition was a part of where I am as well. And a third thing is I don't have a story of trauma or difficulty. In fact, that bothered me a little bit when I started doing Reiki, because I thought I need a big wound. But I discovered that's a myth, the wounded healer, and I had blessings I could share. And but I did grow up in a professional family, and I was expected to give back, and there were high expectations placed upon me. And it took me quite a while to realize that the expectations that were placed upon me weren't necessarily part of my authentic self. And so I had the education, I rebelled a little bit, but not seriously. And I did go to work in the government, as you said. I achieved an executive level position fairly quickly. But at one point I said to myself, I have this job, I have the education, I have a good husband, I have 3 kids, but there's something wrong with this picture still, and it's not really satisfying me. And that was when I started hunting around. So all of these factors came together in my crisis, I guess, in my 40s. And there's got to be something more than this. I've done everything I was supposed to do. I've been giving back, I've been serving, but there's something missing in my life. And that was when I started doing all kinds of classes and you name it, tarot, paranormal. I was seeking, but I didn't know what I was seeking really. And then I discovered Reiki, and I discovered holographic Reiki, which is a form of Reiki, and Reiki is a complementary health, a form of energy healing through energy work. And I discovered holographic Reiki, which involves all aspects of the self and even animal totems and so on. And these things all led me to Bird Vibes. And I could tell you a bit more about the story of Bird Vibes, but as far as my story of origin, that's what led me here.
You know, I appreciate that you're like, not all healers have to be wounded, because it's funny. So I'm a total wounded healer. And I asked that question, and every single person that has been on this podcast and my TV show, I also have a TV show about more into the metaphysical side, and every single person has shared their story of their own trauma, and that's what came to this awakening. But I believe that we choose our life circumstances before we incarnate, and that there's something that kind of kicks in to give us the opportunity to awaken, right? We always have the choice. And it sounds like you didn't need that trauma to kind of kickstart your awakening. So that's good for you. And I think that's such a good message too, that like, if you're listening and you're like, I haven't gone through some deep, dark trauma, but I'm still interested in these things, is there something wrong with me? Which is like such a weird thing to think. Like, no, not at all. Like, you just didn't need that, right? You were able to, my brother-in-law is the same way. He's meditates. He lives with monks in a monastery in the Himalayas for like 6 months out of the year. But he's never gone through anything hard, ever. So I think it's an important.
I think that in itself is pretty amazing. I think that's amazing, not to go through anything unless you are living like a monk, because while I wouldn't say I had any childhood trauma, we all go through things in life. And sometimes I was raised to be very stoic and to always say, I'm fine. My father was a surgeon, and unless your leg needed to be amputated, you were fine. So that in itself was a bit of something that I had to learn, that it was okay to say I'm not fine when I wasn't feeling great. And that was what Reiki taught me, that I didn't have to be, because I didn't have to be fine all the time. It was
Yeah.
okay to be not well. And I went through, I believe that everybody goes through things, even if on the outside they look as if they're well and they have material, they're not lacking for material, a house and food and so on. But I should say I've been through a lot of grief in my life and loss, and that was my path of learning.
Yeah,
Everybody goes through
absolutely.
something.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure he will too. You know, he's 10 years younger than me, so he's only 29. So he's
Yeah.
got a lot of life ahead of him, and I'm sure he will
Yes.
as well. So that was a good point too. So I want to ask about holographic Reiki. So I've done my like Reiki level 1, and I literally only ever do it on my husband. I did it on my dog twice, and she threw up one time, and I was like, it freaked me out so bad. I'm sure she had to like get something out, right? And it was probably good, but I was like, whoa, this is real. This is powerful. So I just do it on my husband when he wants to relax or he's had a bad day. So I don't know as much about it, but I've never heard of holographic Reiki. So I would love to just hear a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I took Reiki the first level like you, and I used it on my family and friends for a number of years. And then a colleague died very suddenly of chickenpox, beautiful young woman. And it really struck me, and I thought, there's got to be more to life. Life is fragile. And I said to myself, what is it that I haven't done that I need to do? And the answer came loud and clear: Reiki. So I decided I needed to learn more. And I looked around and I found a teacher in Ottawa, Canada, of this holographic Reiki. And I found that she worked with nature, and that was what drew me to her. And and my clients who come to me now are very much people who are drawn to my love of nature and my use of Reiki through nature. And holographic Reiki is a very intuitive form of Reiki, and that appealed to me also. And this teacher, whose name is Julie Desmarais, she was working very much with animal totems and spirits. And I don't know if you know of Ted Andrews, who has since passed away, but he's written a number of books about the symbolism of birds. And I have a literature background, so I love symbolism and archetypes, and that appealed to me also. And I walked into this woman's office. I was working for the government at the time, and in the era when I was working in finance, and I had my navy suit on and my heels, and I walked into her office with angels all over the walls, and I thought, what am I doing here? Where am I? This is crazy. And I went into her office, and the first thing she said to me was, Catherine, you have a hawk on your shoulder, and its wing is wounded. And I thought, good grief,
Hmm.
this is not what I bargained for. And it turned out, as I explored this holographic Reiki and the symbolism in Reiki that she was using, that the hawk is a symbol of, of the messenger. And she said, you have messages to deliver, and you have words to give out to people. And I was quite taken aback, as you can imagine, but I was very intrigued, and I took many classes with her. And then I've studied other kinds of Reiki as well. And I'm a master in Usui Reiki and in Karuna Reiki. But the holographic aspect has always appealed to me, because it helps us, birds, trees, animals, they help us understand ourselves when we look for the messages in nature, and how it soothes us and calms us. And I think the Japanese understood this long ago. They talked about Shinrin Yoku, which is forest bathing, which has become quite popular now, where people go out for a walk in the forest. And I don't think they'd be doing it where I grew up, but they'd be doing it in some places that was more lighter woods, I think. So that's holographic Reiki. It's exploring all aspects of the self from at a cellular level, going back into even our farthest past.
Thanks for that explanation. So as soon as I heard that you are all about bird spirits, I wanted to ask you something, and it's interesting because it's about a hawk. Um, and I have this little story that hopefully you'll be okay with me sharing because I'd love to get your insights on it. And we just switched platforms, so here we are again. Um, so a couple of years ago, I had this dog who was like my heart dog. Her name was Soda Pop. She was like my child, and this is before I had my actual child. And on the day she died, we knew that we were gonna put her to sleep, and we were waiting for the home hospice person to come over. We had about half an hour with her, and my husband and I were just, we set her up in her bed overlooking our sliding glass doors to our backyard where she like loved to sit and watch the squirrels. And we were having this really beautiful, peaceful moment with her. We were telling her we loved her. We were telling her a life story, like just having this moment. And then out of nowhere, this hawk comes down, and we don't really see hawks where we are, like up close. And it grabs a squirrel and it pulls it up into the tree. And we're like, oh my God, this is so violent and morbid. And like, we're like having this beautiful moment, and there's like carnage happening outside, but like, we're going to just put it out of our mind and just be present with her. So, she passes, I had an amazing experience with her, or shared death experience. But later that day, the hawk showed up again. And then every day for the next 2 weeks, this hawk would show up, and it would be like weird. Like we would feel something looking at us outside the window, and we'd look and it would be like right there looking in the window at us. Or like it left us this beautiful, perfect feather that I still have. Or, it was just everywhere, and we don't really like see him ever. And for 2 weeks, every single day it showed up. So as someone who is all about bird spirits, I would love to hear your take on it.
Well, there's a few things in that. It's a really interesting story. I'm not surprised at all. I've been told by many people that when a loved one has passed away, a particular type of bird keeps showing up. Sometimes it's quite often cardinals, actually. And no matter where someone is situated, with cardinals in Canada and the United States, it's quite often cardinals for some reason, which I don't know. But I do think it's sometimes it's the type of bird is a bird that you can connect with. And when we talk about holographic Reiki and bring in totems to help people understand their spiritual messages and themselves, then I like to say that a totem is not a bird that just flies by your window. It's not a robin on your lawn, but a totem that comes in to give you messages is exactly something like in your story, where it comes in and is doing something that is very definitely trying to get your attention. So I do believe that the meaning is for you to take out of it, and it could certainly be about your dog, and that bird was coming in as a messenger, saying maybe I'm still around, I'm still here, and I'm there for you. And before we started this session, and I mentioned to you that I had chosen a card for you. And the card is like a hawk.
Stop it. So, seriously?
Yes, I'm quite serious. It's right here. It's actually this is a card I chose.
Oh my gosh, can I just tell you, it's her birthday today, my dog's birthday.
Today?
Yeah, today.
Oh my goodness. 10. Well, the card I chose for you before I had ever said a word to you and intuitively picked a card for you, it was a broad-winged hawk.
Amazing. Oh my God, I have goosebumps. That looks like the hawk. Oh my gosh.
So would you like to know the message of the hawk on this card?
I'm covered in goosebumps right now.
My cards always fly, I'm told, to where they're needed and where the messages should go. And so the card, each of my cards has a color, they're color coded because they're connected to the chakras. So there's 7 cards for each chakra. So this bird is in the 6th chakra. So your third eye, as you know, it's a broad-winged hawk. It says, act boldly on your intuition. So it's very much about your intuition. And may I read it?
Yeah,
This
please.
this The small broad-winged hawk lives in forests. They swoop from their perches quickly, catching prey by surprise. Follow your inner guidance without hesitation, even if it takes you to unexpected places.
Hmm.
So that's the message for you. It's about your intuition, to follow your intuition, even when it seems like, why would I do this? You go with your intuition. And I certainly think that hawk is coming in for you, especially today. Each of the cards in this Bird Vibes deck, which I'll just show here. Does that picture show?
Yeah, we can see it. Beautiful
So
owl.
yes, it's a snowy owl. It's the emblem of the deck, which is also the bird of Quebec, our national bird of Quebec, the snowy owl. And so each of the cards has something about the bird. So it's interesting for people who want to learn about birds. And then it goes into the spiritual message, and it's connected to the chakras. And there's a booklet that comes with it. And the booklet I call this a meditation deck. It's not a tarot. It's not an oracle deck. It's a meditation deck, because it's meant for people to use and to think for themselves and to meditate with it and think, well, what does that mean for me? For example, in your card, if after the show you sit with that message and think, well, was there an occasion where I was called to use my intuition, and maybe I did or I didn't, or perhaps it will come up in the future, and you'll think of the card, and then there will be that message. Oh yes, but the card said, go with my intuition no matter what. So I'm going to do this crazy thing because my intuition says go with it. So that's how the cards work, and there are various ways in the guidebook that show how the chakras are connected. In fact, there's a really great chart that we put together, which we've called I call a chakra chart, but it's connected to birds, so that tells which of the birds are in which chakra and what is the meaning of the aspect of that bird connected to that chakra. So there's quite a bit to look at and think about in the cards, I think.
That's so amazing. So in the booklet, I know like with oracle cards, there'll be like a page in the booklet for each card. Do you have that in the card or
Well,
in
in
the book
fact,
too?
the book beautifully repeats all of the cards in the book.
Okay, so it's the same thing.
So
Okay.
you can use the book on its own, in fact, because all of the cards are in here. And there's a card for each season as well, which is a longer message. So sometimes people use it in the seasonal card along with the card for the bird. And as I said, there's 7 cards for each chakra, plus 1 card for the 8th chakra, which I like to include, which is the snowy owl, which says that all things are possible.
How wonderful. So how did you come up with the messaging for each bird? Was that all intuition?
Well, as I mentioned, the first part of the message is factual. So I was very careful about my facts about the birds. And in fact, the entire deck has been verified by an ornithologist, so it's completely accurate from an ornithological point of view. As far as the spiritual side of the message, it came to me partly by the type of bird it was, the aspects of the bird. And sometimes when I was stuck, yes, then it was intuition. I said, I need help with this, please. And I would sit and meditate with it, and it would come to me. So it was quite a combination of things. I loved birds from when I was young. My mother was very intuitive and loved birds, and so I'd grown up with listening to birds. And each of the cards in this deck represents a bird that I've had some special experience with, and a few of those are outlined in the book. And most of them are in Central and Eastern North America, all North American birds. Some of them would be city birds, some are country, and so the message of the bird is often tied to the type of bird it is and where it's located and its color and so on. And so and where it seemed logical, so there's the very first one. That's the Canada Goose. It's a number one card
Just heard
in
him
the root
overhead.
chakra. Well, you see, it's about the stories that they tell and community that we all, well, a lot of people know they fly overhead and they're in community. So that's very much a root chakra bird. Whereas a hawk, some of them were fairly clear because culturally hawks have been from Roman times, probably from prehistoric times, hawks have been symbols of messengers and power, and eagles and birds like that. But the songbirds were difficult to. Which ones will I include? There's so many beautiful songbirds, and that was more intuitive.
That's really beautiful. So, do you feel like birds have more of a spiritual significance than other animals, possibly?
No, I don't think so. I think for me they do because
Okay.
I know birds and I know animals around me. And when I read a card of an animal deck that has animals from Africa, I can understand what it means. But I don't intuitively relate to it the same way I relate to birds. I think birds have been understood by people from time immemorial as having messages for them. And I'm not sure that animals have been thought of in quite the same way. Uh, but I certainly think it's important to understand all aspects of nature, and not just the animals, but the trees. Trees have messages for us. And in my book, I talk about going out for joy walks and just really looking at nature. And you don't have to be in the woods or the forest or a particular place in nature to do that. You can walk out on a city street, go in a backyard. You can do it inside your house in your mind's eye. But connecting with nature is just so important. And sometimes we just don't take the time to do that, I think. So I believe all of nature has messages for us.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We're inherently connected to nature. It is us, right?
That's right.
And there's so many studies that prove that your nervous system regulates when you're in nature and take that time to ground. I was just asking about birds because I think you kind of mentioned too, and so I have my other TV show called Beyond Reality, which is all about metaphysics, and I just had Paul Perry on, who co-wrote all the near-death experience books with Dr. Raymond Moody, and I was telling him that story too, and he was like, kind of like you said, he's like, when people have near death experiences or pass on, like birds make themselves known. So I think, and when I looked it up, the hawk specifically after, it was like they're messengers from the afterlife. So, and there's all those stories about people losing loved ones and then like a feather will appear or something. So it feels like birds are really connected to the spirit realm for some reason or another, or there are connection to it in some way. I
I
don't know.
think spirit connects to us in the way that we will understand.
Mm, yeah.
So that if birds are more commonly understood. And uh, I might see an animal or an insect that I would connect with as well, but not everybody relates to insects. Some people told me, "Oh, you should do a book on insects and a deck on insects," and I tried, but there's certainly some wonderful insects I love, and there's some I thought, no, I'm sorry, I just can't relate to that. I can't do a whole deck on it. Um,
Yeah.
but birds people relate to, and I think spiritual messages come to us in a form that we can understand, and most people can understand birds. I think in all the time I've been working with messages from birds, I've met one person who said, "Oh, I don't like birds." Oh, okay, that's fine.
That's interesting. I wonder what
Mhm.
their past life story with a bird is.
Yes, yes, there was something there. We just
Yeah.
moved on it.
Yeah. So, do you bring in when you do your Reiki work, do you bring in your work with bird spirits too? Like do you try to bring it all together to help people?
I do, because at the outset, when I have a client, I usually offer them a bird card to choose, and often it's a bit of an icebreaker for one thing, if when there's a new client, and secondly, that message will often come into the Reiki session.
Mm.
So, and the person will say, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I was thinking." And the message may be a confirmation that they're on the right path, or it may be something totally different. For example, one time I had a man and he chose a Bird Vibes card that he didn't like the message. And I said, "Well, choose another one. I'm fine. You take another one." And I'm usually very careful. I just have one deck of cards. It so happened that I had one extra card in that deck that day, and he
Oh
chose
no.
the same card.
Oh,
And I
that's a
said,
message from the universe.
"I think you better listen. You may not like the sound of this message, but I think maybe you should listen to it."
That's funny.
And then when I have Reiki classes, I usually have some holographic Reiki involves working with uh, all aspects of nature. So plants, I've got plant decks on plants and animals from other places as well as birds. And but I usually bring out the Bird Vibes card, and that card sets the tone for the class. Or when I hold retreats, each person chooses a card, and we keep those cards up for the entire retreat for 5 days. And and at the end, we look at the message and we see how the pieces of this puzzle fit together, because may have chosen other cards as well during those days. So it's a yes, I do use it. I bring it in, but it doesn't dominate. But it's very much there in the background and bringing I think it's spiritual messages to the person.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. So I know you said that you also have a card for the group today for anyone who's listening. So do you want to share what that card is?
Sure, I chose it ahead of time, as I chose yours ahead of time, and I think you validated that I chose what I was meant to for the
That blew my
group.
mind. Yeah.
Uh, so I chose the Northern Flicker. Is that
Mm.
picture good?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, and it is in. You can see the color is green, which mean, and that is the color of the heart chakra. So I've chosen a color card for the heart chakra. Numbers mean something to many people, and this is card number 23. And I should have told you yours was number 39 in case that means something to you.
I'm
Uh,
39 years old. Maybe that's why.
well, there you go. There's often something. So for your listeners, I've chosen card number 23 in the heart chakra, and the primary words are "live in the moment,"
Mm.
which is often a challenge for many of us, I think. And it says the northern flicker has a white rump patch that is clearly visible in flight. This woodpecker, it's a kind of woodpecker, taps out loud rhythms that reverberate long distances. Delight in the heartbeats around you, the places you are in, and the people you meet. So it's about being in the moment and choosing to be joyful in that moment and to recognize the heart of the other people around you. And this is very much fits into Reiki as well, because one of the principles of Reiki is just for today,
Mm.
just for today.
I love that message because, like you said, it's so easy to get caught up in our heads or with past fears or future anxieties or our story or, even like how many emails you have in your inbox and like your to-do list. And we hear this all the time, like, live in the present moment, but
Yes.
I think it can be really hard, for a
It
lot
is
of people.
hard.
For me, it's hard too, I'm not above anything, and I think that's such a beautiful reminder that everyone could use.
I think when I was working for the government in management, we used to have to take courses in time management all the time. And how do you manage your time? And they would tell us things that I already knew. But, it doesn't matter how many times people would tell me to make my lists and do this and that. And I knew it. I still needed those reminders. And I think this is a little bit the same. We know in our brains that we should live in the present, but to take that message into our heart, it needs reminders from time to time.
How do
I
you,
think
if someone's listening right now and they're like, how do I even like be in the present moment? Like, what does that mean? Do you have any really good tips to ground people in the present?
that's a really good question. Um, Well, I think you used a key word there, and that word is ground. And sometimes people aren't grounded. And if you're feeling not grounded and your mind, there's an expression in French which is flyer, which means like you're flying all over like that, flyer.
Yeah, what a great expression for it.
It is. It's probably a Quebec expression. You even say somebody is flyer, meaning that they're all over.
Yeah.
Their energy is crazy. So if your energy is like that and you've got 20 things you have to do, and we're in here anyway, it's a very busy season because Christmas in Canada, the Christmas season is like Thanksgiving, I think, in the States, where all families come together. It's much more important than Thanksgiving. So this is our busy, busy time getting ready, whether people celebrate Christmas or not. It's the seasonal aspect of this time and our holidays, and that's important. So there's many, many things to do. People are super busy, and they say there's more need for Reiki now in December than any other time of year. So this is when we need to ground ourselves. So, and in order to be in the moment and to be able to accomplish what we want to accomplish, or just to accept that maybe some days we don't have to accomplish something. We just need to be and to have a cup of tea and sit and be quiet, or to meditate, or to go for a walk and just take time out and have a bath, whatever you can work into your schedule. And I know I have many busy mums, for example, in my practice, and I've been there, done that, so where it's almost impossible. And somebody will say, well, just relax, take time. And you can't always, but you can take 10 minutes. And that's a discipline, I think, to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, to step outside. If I can't, I just open my front door even, and I breathe in the air. So maybe that would be one of my tricks. If you can't really do that full-on break, just at least take time to breathe. Take 5 minutes and
Yeah.
ground yourself.
Yeah. No, I think that's I like that tip, because, and I think just like the 5 minute, 10 minute is so meaningful for people. Like you're like,
Mhm.
I have a 10-month-old, so I'm like there with you people. Like it's like, you have all these aspirations, like I'm going to meditate every day, and then
Yes,
it's like 9 p.m. and you're like, I'm exhausted, I'm going to go to bed.
exactly.
But I think like those little bite-sized moments where you can just kind of bring your parasympathetic nervous system down and like just feel your feet on the floor and breathe the fresh air is a game changer. And those little moments can really balance out like hours of chaos, right? Like it's
Absolutely.
amazing. So
And I sometimes tell people who are stressing about not meditating that defeats the whole point if you're
yeah,
stressing because you're not meditating. So if you're in that
totally.
situation, I often suggest that before you wake up, just put your alarm on 5 minutes earlier. Stay in bed for 5 minutes. 5 minutes is you can find in your day, I think. So wake up 5 minutes earlier and do whatever form of meditation comes to you. Just take time. Gratitude practice is very helpful in the morning. People who wake up on the wrong side of the bed and are grouchy and cranky, it really helps if just to take time to be grateful for 5 minutes in the morning. I'm waking up. I'm able to get up. My physical body is allowing me to get up. My kids are around me. They may be screaming or whatever, but they're there and they're healthy. So whatever we can find in our life to be grateful for, it makes a huge energy if we start off our day that way, and if we can finish it that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the power of gratitude, because then you're gonna attract more things that make you grateful, right? It's like
Absolutely.
everything is energy.
I've seen it in my Reiki practice many times, and when I was working with cancer survivors, I saw how much this gratitude practice meant, and I saw real transformations with people who practiced gratitude. It was
That's
really
amazing.
quite amazing.
That's really, really amazing. Yeah, were you doing Reiki at that time when you were working with
Yes, I
cancer
was.
survivors?
Yeah, I was doing Reiki, and there's a cancer survivorship center not far from where I live. My sister had passed away from ovarian cancer, and I went through a very um, sad period of time, and I thought I could give back by doing volunteer Reiki with cancer survivors. And I think sometimes someone's passing brings about other things. And if my sister hadn't passed away from cancer and I had gone through that period of grief, I wouldn't have started doing volunteer Reiki with cancer survivors. And these were people who were undergoing treatment, and sometimes they were caregivers. And so I would give a Reiki session, and it helped them sleep better. It helped remove stress. Sometimes it just helped them in preparation for cancer treatments they were going through, for chemo. And for women who had had, say, reconstructive surgery, they found it really helpful. One woman left my session and she said, I am going to go to my breast reconstruction group and tell everybody you have to have a Reiki session, because it helped them connect with their body in a new way.
What a
And
beautiful gift that you were able to give so many people.
it made me
That's
feel good.
yeah.
Sometimes people say, "Aren't you tired giving Reiki?" And no, because when we give Reiki, we receive it back. So it makes me very happy. And I have a practice now where I'm semi-retired, but I do take on clients when I can work it into. I'm very busy, so I take on clients that I could work into my time and still hold retreats. And I have Reiki master students that I mentor and coach.
That's amazing. You totally just made me think of so my dad went through chemo and radiation for cancer in 2010, and the only thing that helped me was getting Reiki, and I totally forgot about that. I remember I was getting such bad stomach aches because my stomach was in knots, and I went in there and I was like, I can't even button my pants. I'm sorry. And the woman was like, do you want to just unzip them too? It's okay. And then like it totally helped. So yeah, even if you have a loved one going through something, yeah, Reiki is amazing. It's so
It's been
healing.
difficult to scientifically prove the benefits of Reiki, so I'm always careful about what I say, but I can speak from my own experience. And I saw some real changes with people who started to be able to feel their fingertips when they hadn't
Wow.
before, and the phantom pain that went away, and just the people being able to sleep and taking the worry away was a big thing. So yes,
That's
it certainly
amazing.
has helped, I think. And it
What a
helped me
beautiful
too.
gift. Yeah.
Yes.
I
I
mean,
met such wonderful people who were so strong, and I would think, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what I would be like if I were going through what this person was going through." And we never know till we go through it, I think. But I saw the strength of the individuals that I saw really helped me and gave me some very good life lessons, I think.
yeah, it sounds like it was a gift for all involved, and that's kind of how service is, right?
Yes, yes.
Um,
Yes, I think you're right. It brings us back to the beginning, because I was told when I was young I needed to give back. I needed to serve. I needed to be a teacher, or somebody would help, and I didn't want to be a teacher, but I found my own way to serve. And I think sometimes spirit guides us in unusual ways.
that's really beautiful. Is there anything you really wanted to talk about today that we haven't touched on? Or any message you want to get out there for anyone listening?
I would say I would really love them to think about how I'll speak directly to people. Think about how you can connect with nature wherever you live. What can you do? Can you go outside for a walk? Can you take 10 minutes in your day? Can you stop and play in nature? Can you roll down a hill? Can you can you just have fun in nature? If children are wonderful people for teaching us about the power of nature. Can you look up at the clouds? We can all see the clouds and the sunrise and the sunset. Just stop and pause and think of the blessings that we have around us and how this can bring some peace into our heart, because there are difficult things going on around us in the world. And I find that for myself, I need to ground, and I need to bring in these aspects of nature, and birdsong is my and whatever aspect of nature it might be, to help me to stay in my place where I can be in my light and help pass on light to other people as best I could. And think about how you all have that gift of intuition and of the light within you. So let nature guide you to your authentic self and your own light.
It's a really beautiful message. And like we when you were talking about there's all difficult things going on in the world, but we all share this beautiful planet, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're all connected to it. Catherine, it has been such an absolute joy to talk to you today. Thank you so much. And I'm sure people want to know where they can connect with you, where they can if they want to work with you, if they want to buy your deck, if you wouldn't mind just sharing all that with people.
Absolutely. I'd be delighted to hear from any of your listeners. My website is catherineCbastedo.com. That's Bastedo. You probably will post it somewhere. So catherineCbastedo.com. You'll see my website there and something about my birds. The Bird Vibes cards can be purchased in any major store like Barnes and Noble in the US or Amazon or Chapters in Canada, any major store, and some of the smaller ones. And you can feel free to email me at contact@catherineCbastedo.com. That's on my website. If you have stories about birds that you'd like to share or questions, and my retreats are posted on my website as well. I've had listeners this last summer. I had someone come from Wisconsin to Northern Ontario because she'd heard one of my interviews, and we had a wonderful time. So if you're interested in a summer retreat, then please just contact me, and I'm on Instagram under Catherine C. Bastedo as well.
Amazing. And I will definitely link all of that in the show notes. So if you're driving and listening to this and you don't get in an accident, don't write it down. You can always come back. Catherine, again, thank you so much. It has been such a joy. I'm as soon as we're off this, I'm going to text my husband and be like, you won't believe what deck or what card I got pulled today on Soda's birthday. So it totally blew my mind. If you're listening, please check out Catherine's website, her Instagram, her retreats, all the things, her Bird Vibes deck, and send this to someone you think might resonate with it. Let's all help uplift each other. Have a beautiful rest of your day, everyone. I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Chris.